Hello there guys, and welcome back to BTA Bitesize episode number 13. First off, I'd like to apologise for missing the video last week. There was a lot going on. My wife and my kids weren't very well, and there's been a whole heap of other stuff, real life stuff going on, so I can only apologise for that. However, I am doing my utmost to get back on the board with it, so I hope you can bear with me on that. Anyway, moving on. In today's episode, what I'm going to be covering is your kind of first mission, sort of HUD overview, things you want to look out for, and other little things that you can, sort of like little tips to start with on your first mission. So getting straight into it, the first thing you can see obviously is if we look in the bottom here, we have our 4 pilots. However, we have 5 mechs. Now, this is a little graphical bug. It can happen every now and again. Don't panic. It doesn't mean the game is broken. You don't have to restart it or anything. All you have to do is just select a pilot. It doesn't matter whether it's their turn or not. But as you can see now, this little square box has appeared with the 1 in it. This is the thing that you use to switch backwards and forwards between your 2 lances. Obviously, if you have the 4 pilots, just the 4 mechs, you don't have to worry about it. But if you have any more than that, this is the button you use to switch backwards and forwards between the 2. Like I said, it's just a little graphical bug. Don't worry about it. Just select a pilot and away you go. So that's that taken care of. The sort of like the initial HUD button, all the buttons are pretty much all the same. You've got your attack, you've got your move, you've got your sprint, jump, sensor lock, etc, etc. That's all pretty much the same. You've got your weapons list on that side, your paper dial on that side. However, you will notice there is a change up here that we actually have 10 oh god, I've forgotten the word. The 10 initiative phases now. So basically these are split up into the weight classes. So the initiative phase 10 is for 0 to 10. 0 to 10 tons. These are things like you get like little powered armors and things like that that can appear. So they'll be in there. And then initiative 9 is like 10 to 20 tons. 8 is 30, etc. as it goes up the board. Obviously, then you get to your 100-ton assaults. They'll be on turn 1, and anything that's over that, so any of the super heavies that you'll get later on in the game, will also be initiative turn 1. Bear in mind, there are things that you can do to mitigate that. There's certain mechs that have sort of initiative quirks that put them further up the scale. Obviously, there's also pilot skills that can do that as well. So also moving on, one of the main things I also want to let you guys know is that you can now move and sprint. Yes, you no longer have to make the decision whether you want to move and shoot or whether you want to sprint for evasion. You can do both. However, if you do move and sprint, there is a accuracy debuff that occurs within that. When you get to sort of mid-late game, that is quite mitigated quite a lot with the various equipment and pilot skills that you can have. But early on, it is something you are going to need to bear in mind. If you do sprint, you are going to be less likely to land your shot. Moving on from that, as you can see, there's the enemy lance over there, and we are over here. Now, a quick early tactic that I would say early on, which is super, super important, look at the map. This is something that so many people don't do. And you really, really want to pay attention to your terrain. A lot of stuff will come with time and with experience, but the Battletech maps can sometimes be a little bit quirky, and it will look like you can move in a certain place, and it actually turns out you can't. Again, you will learn this as you go, but it will save you some time early on to sort of plan your route out on how you want to engage the enemy and where you want to come in from. So, for example, for this here, you can see we have the enemy team is down here in this low ground, and we're here. Now, the initial thing would be, charge straight over the top of the hill and shoot them down in here. However, bear in mind that there is the rocky ground here. This will give you, if you take hits in this ground, you will take bonus stability damage. So that's something you kind of want to avoid. We also don't want to engage these on their own terms. Height is a thing also in Battletech Advanced 3062 now. So high ground is good ground. If you can get up high, guys, that's what you really, really want to be doing. That is something that is going to help you immensely early on to land your shots. Obviously, the higher up you are, there is modifiers that can do so. So also, again, your sensor lock is super, super important here, because if you shoot at the enemy, it now no longer removes pips, regardless of whether they hit or not. The only way to remove the evasion is either to make that mech unstable, or if you sensor lock them down to a point where you can actually start landing your shots. Again, this is super important early on when you're coming up against really sort of fast vehicles and mechs that will have quite a lot of evasion, like you can see a lot of ours have got here. Sensor lock is going to be the only way you can do it. This is why I advised in a previous episode to make sure that you've got the sensor lock ability. So as you can see, moving along. We have the red targeting lines. So these mean that obviously any damage that we send their way is going to hit them in the front arc. These lines actually change color. So what if I can do it, we'll just move the fire beat up here for the moment. And as you can see, the two of the lines have actually changed color. These are actually green. This indicates that we are actually firing in the rear arc of the enemy mech that we are, or vehicle that we are shooting at. This means that any damage reduction that they have, if they have bulwark and if they are standing in a forest, for example, where they would have a 60% damage reduction, if you're in the rear arc, that doesn't exist. So if you can get in their rear arc, that's better, especially when you're in light mechs early on and you're going up against stuff that's a little bit heavier. You always want to be trying to shoot them in the back. That way you are going to be doing the most damage with the weapons that you manage to land to hit. There are also various other colors as well. So for the immediate thing, the other thing I wanted to show you is that once you select a target, if you are not sure what obviously you've got your hit chances that are down here on the right hand side here. If you hover over one, you will actually get the list and it will show you all the different modifiers that you actually have with that mission, with that particular weapon. So as you can see, there is splitting between sort of white and red. So the white is what your buffs, and the reds are your debuffs. So as you can see, because we have gunnery 4, that gives us an 85% chance to hit. We've got an arm mounted weapon, which is a -1, and a height difference which is 2. So obviously because we are higher up than he is, that means our chance to hit is better. And then obviously you've got so basically if you're unsure about what's going on and why you're not landing hits, if you bring up this little window, it will just show. So you don't have to select it, you just have to hover the mouse over it and it will give you all of the sort of like the buffs and the debuffs that you can have, and you get an overall shot modifier there, which you can see is +6. So we're just going to do a quick fire here, and then we'll switch over to the next mech once the enemy's had its turn. So 2 seconds, and we'll be right back. Okay guys, so we are on our turn now. So we've got the turn of our cicada, and as you can see, we've actually got another coloured line now, and that's actually a light blue line. This shows you a what is called a flanking shot. So basically, if we take a shot from this angle, all the damage is going to go to the left-hand side of the mech. So the arm, the leg, any part of the mech that's like visible on the left-hand side, that's where the damage is going to go to. The flanking shots also have a bonus hit modifier as well. So what you really want to do is you want to try and get up high, and you want to try and get flanking shots early on. This is going to increase your chances of actually landing your damage. There is actually other lines as well. If I can actually get one to show, if there was one there, right, that one there. So you can see there's actually an orange line, there's also a little break, that's actually a little eyeball, and there's a yellow line. That means that your line of sight to the enemy is obstructed, which means you are going to take a penalty to your hit chance. It's, again, you can't see them properly, so that's going to be affected. There is another variant of that, which is purple, which will still have the little purple, it'll have a little purple eye on it as well. That means that not only is your line of sight obstructed to the enemy's line of sight is also obstructed to you as well. So you kind of really want to avoid purple lines, you want to avoid the orange and yellow lines. What you really want to be going for is the light blue, if possible, at least a solid red line for the frontal shots, etc. And that is pretty much about it for that. There isn't obviously these dotted lines here mean if your mech moves, it actually means it cannot twist enough to actually get its you will either get this because the even though your weapons have range, your mech can actually not spin round or doesn't have the mobility to turn around enough to actually get a line of sight on these guys, or sorry, actually bring its weapons to bear. Likewise, if your weapons are, if you have line of sight but your weapons don't have range, that will also be indicated with a little dotted line by there as well. The only other quick thing I really want to go through, guys, on this is the button, the withdraw button up in the top right hand corner. You can just about see it above my cam window up there. This is something you are really going to need to learn how to do, guys. You may be used to in the original Battletech vanilla game. They probably didn't really use it that much unless you went on like the really hard difficulties, but learn it. You will come across situations that you are absolutely not going to be able to deal with no matter how hard you try. For example, I had one when I was streaming on my Twitch playthrough, and I dropped again my full lance of 8 assaults onto high-end assaults onto a mission, and there was 4 oversized Comstar lances. We were doing okay until they dropped a 5th one. There was a lot of long-range missile damage coming in from targets I couldn't see. My mechs were taking a beating. They weren't quite fast enough to have the evasion up enough, and I was getting to the stage I was risking losing a couple of members of my squad and the mechs as well. Learn when to withdraw, guys. It is going to help. That ability is going to save you a lot of money, and it's going to save you losing your mech pilots as well. Apart from that, guys, that's pretty much about it. That's all I've got for you. I just wanted to give you a quick overview of the HUD and sort of like basic sort of ideas that you want to get into your head. If you did enjoy the video and you did find it helpful, don't forget to leave a like and don't forget to subscribe. Don't forget to come and see me on Twitch. I stream every Monday, Wednesday, Friday and Sunday, and I'm usually up for talking about Battletech regardless of what I'm streaming anyway. So hope you have a good one, guys. Stay safe. I'm out. Bye bye.